Britt, thank you so much for joining us today. You are one of the new town councilors that just came on back in December. So let's start with what made you decide to run for town council?
Well, so we had a big election in January, in November, and we took on a new presidency in January. And not to be political, but I was very discouraged by the national conversation that was going on. It doesn't matter what side you were on, and I believe both sides are very frustrated by what was happening. And I found myself feeling that I wanted to be in a situation where I could do more, and I felt that where you can make the most difference is, you know, in a town. You cannot affect change on the national level. Even on the state level, it's challenging, right? But in your own hometown, you can do a lot. And my feeling was that it starts in your backyard. So that, combined with the fact that I have a daughter who's going to be a graduating senior this year, and looking ahead to the next several years and what my life is going to be like now that's going to change dramatically, I decided that I would do what I could to get involved locally. So I first started out by joining the Barnstable Economic Development Commission, and that was the beginning. And then there was a town council seat. My precinct, Fred Chirigotis, who was our town councilor, he was term limited, and that seat was open. And the encouragement of a couple people that I knew, I decided to run.
Wonderful. What do you think of it so far?
It's like sipping water from a fire hose. It's overwhelming, but I also love it. It's
Yeah.
great. I really, really do love it.
Let's talk a little bit about the precinct. Precinct 4 is mainly in Centerville. What are some of the concerns in Precinct 4?
So one thing I will say is just let's define the parameters of Precinct 4, because a lot of people don't know their precinct, right? So Precinct 4 is basically Centerville south of 28 between Bumps River Road and Strawberry Hill Road. So it's this compact little rectangle. Has a quite a mix, actually, of you know, you have the folks who live on the ocean. They have those summer homes, you know, those, you know, you have that high end, and then you also have a lot of folks who are sort of mid-income, some that really struggling, which is something that I was able to experience firsthand as I was knocking on doors during the campaign. You know, folks that are, you know, you've got whole families living with the parents because they can't find a place to live on Cape Cod. So there's a real range of folks that live in that tiny little precinct. It also is an incredibly environmentally sensitive area. You know, you have the Bumps River, you have the Centerville River, you have the Long Beach Barrier Beach. You know, you have that entire ocean front, lots of wetlands. So there are a lot of different components to it. Plus, you know, it does include, you know, part of 28. So you do have that sort of commercial district as well. So there's a lot of variety within the precinct and a lot of differing concerns.
What are some of your concerns of the town as a whole? What do you see as being the important things as a town councilor that you need to look at for the whole town? Because you know, you are the town councilor for Precinct 4,
right?
But you know, you
Right.
also are serving the whole town.
I agree, and I say that to people a lot because, you know, in reality, to get elected takes very few votes. In reality, I was elected by 354 people. There are 45,000 people in this town, right? So yes, while I'm elected within my precinct, in reality, I do represent those 45,000 people. So, you know, it's paying attention to the small things, but also looking comprehensively and sort of more in a visionary way. I would say probably one of my primary focus would be on all things related to the environment, right? So it's very much a comprehensive, holistic approach. So looking at the environment means wastewater, it means clean water, it means protecting open space, it means you know, conservation management plans for environmentally sensitive areas. It also means increasing the walkability and the bikeability of our town, right? So decreasing our carbon footprint, but also encouraging people to get outdoors. It includes you know, wildlife management. It's all of those pieces. So it's a very sort of and renewable energies, right? We're looking at projects like Vineyard Wind. We need to look at what's happening with our single stream recycling. That is, the prices, the costs of that are skyrocketing, and we have to now look at other alternatives. And you know, so there's a lot of work to do on the environmental front when you look at it from a holistic perspective.
Wonderful. You also are a committee liaison to two boards, the Community Preservation Committee as well as the Renewable Energy Committee. Let's talk a little bit about the work that they do and how you hope to support those committees.
Right. So Community Preservation Committee dabbles, it sort of deals with a number of areas, everything from helping to secure funds for affordable housing, recreation, and open space. So it touches on a number of issues that I'm very, very interested in. Affordable housing is also a major issue for the entire region. And in reality, all of these issues that we're talking about, whether it's the environment, whether it's housing, whether it's economic development, wastewater, these are all regional solutions that we're going to be moving towards. There's no way to look at this from a village perspective or even a town perspective. So one of the things CPC does work on is affordable housing. And helping to provide funds for those kinds of projects. And so that to me is a very important aspect of what that group does.
And the renewable energy, sounds like you're the perfect person to be the liaison to that committee as someone who's so focused on the environment.
Yeah, and so that group has been struggling a little bit because we did have a renewable energy coordinator and we don't now, but that is something I would very much like to see come back because that's a position that legitimately pays for itself, right? And it opens us up to other funding mechanisms, funding sources for any renewable energy initiatives that we pursue. So I would very much like us to start there. But then that will touch on all of those other issues that I mentioned previously.
And you're also on the homelessness subcommittee, just part of the town council, which has been doing a lot of work to try to, find ways to help the homeless and find ways to to lessen the impact of the homeless on this community. What would you say about that committee?
Well, so what I want to say is I want to give a huge shout out to the Community Impact Unit of the Barnstable PD and particularly to Jean Chalice and her team for doing all that they have done. The Barnstable PD, that particular team, has taken on a tremendous responsibility and load of work that really isn't theirs, right? They have stepped up because there's no one else to do that. And so we need to find a way to sort of alleviate that tremendous burden that they have willingly taken on. But this is something that needs to be dealt with not on a town level, but a regional level, and quite frankly, it needs to go up to the state level. So, working with our state reps and senators, our Senator Sear, on how we can work on a regional solution to this, and that will necessitate support at the state level.
Wonderful. You have a lot of hard work ahead of you, but I thank you so much for coming in and joining us and talking about, why you wanted to join the town council and the work that you hope to do.
Well, I appreciate coming in and your invitation, so thank you so much.
Thank you. My guest today is Britt Beedenbender. She's the town councilor for Precinct 4.